a super easy no-knead rosemary, olive oil, and sea salt artisan bread that will make you feel like you visited a fancy bakery or a great Italian restaurant. Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. It's raining really hard here in South Florida, so I thought today would be a perfect day. Ooh, can you hear that? I thought today would be a perfect day to make my no-knead rosemary, olive oil, and sea salt artisan bread. It's warm and inviting and perfect for a day like today or any day. It's very reminiscent of a great bread that you would get at a bakery or at an Italian restaurant because it's crusty and absolutely amazing on the outside, but it's still soft and inviting on the inside, and it is infused and perfumed with that rosemary and extra virgin olive oil, and it is so crazy good. And did I mention that it's no knead? Yes, you whip the ingredients together, you let it sit on your counter for 4 hours or overnight, and then you're ready to bake the most incredible bread you have ever tasted. Your home will be filled with the aroma of this fresh baked bread, and you are going to love it. So I am super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 3 cups of bread flour, or you could also use 3 cups of all-purpose flour, but I do recommend bread flour. 1/2 teaspoon of active dry yeast, 2.5 teaspoons of coarse sea salt, 3 tablespoons of dried rosemary, 1.5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, and 1.5 cups of lukewarm water. You will also need either a Danish dough whisk or a serving fork to mix your dough, a spoon, a cooling rack, some dry measuring cups, a wet measuring cup, some measuring spoons, some parchment paper, some plastic wrap, a large bowl, some oven mitts, and either a lame or a sharp knife for scoring your bread. And you'll also need a nicely sized Dutch oven with a lid, but if you don't have a Dutch oven, you can use any heavy pot with a lid, or even a Latin style aluminum cazuela with a lid. Just make sure the pot, the lid, and the knob all can withstand high oven temperatures, as this bread will bake quite hot. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is add your 3 cups of flour, either bread flour or all-purpose, to your large bowl. But you want to form a mound. You want like a peak at the top. You want a mound, and you want the sides to be lower and the center to be higher. So now, once you add in those 3 cups of flour, then you're going to add your 1/2 teaspoon of active dry yeast, but you're going to add that right at the top of that mound. Then on the outer edge of the mound, away from the yeast, you're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of coarse sea salt. This is really going to help bring out all the flavors in this delicious bread. And then you're going to bring over 3 tablespoons of dried rosemary, and we're also going to add those on the outer edge of the mound. We're just leaving that yeast all by itself for now, right in the center. And then to really enhance those flavors, I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, once again all around that outer rim. And then finally, I'm going to measure out 1.5 cups of water. I'm going to pop that in my microwave because I want it warm, not super hot, but warm to the touch. I put it in for about 40 seconds, but of course microwaves vary. And then I'm also going to come in and just pour that warm water all around the bowl on that outer edge. And then once all that water is in, that's when I'm going to start to incorporate the ingredients and to gently bring in that mound and let that yeast touch the wet ingredients. I'm just going to slowly and gently bring that in, and then all that's left to do is use either your dough whisk, or as I said, you can use a serving fork for this. If you don't have a dough whisk, a serving fork will work just fine. And you're just going to go around your bowl and just scrape off any dry flour and really just bring all the ingredients together. All you're looking to do is to form a shaggy dough, and you don't want to see dry flour left on the sides or the bottom of your bowl. Do not be tempted to add more liquid. It just takes a couple of minutes, and you're going to notice that very quickly this is going to transform into a shaggy dough, and that's all you need to make this incredible rosemary, olive oil, and sea salt artisan bread. There will be no kneading whatsoever. Could this be any easier? All I did was put the ingredients together and mix them, and before you know it, you have your dough. Now you see how this dough is starting to really come together, and you're noticing that there's no longer dry flour at the bottom or sides of the bowl. I've just made sure to incorporate all that flour into this shaggy dough. No heavy equipment whatsoever is necessary. It just took a matter of minutes, and we have our dough. So all we're going to do now is clean off our utensil. I'm cleaning off my dough whisk, and then the hard part is over. Honestly, this is so easy to make. It's just unreal. So all you have to do now is cover your bowl well, because you don't want your dough drying out, because you do need to allow this to rise. So I'm going to cover it real well with plastic wrap, and I'm going to make sure to find a spot in my kitchen, because this is going to rise for at least 4 hours or overnight. That is up to you. I found a little spot in the corner of my kitchen. It's draft free. It's nice and covered. No one's going to bother it. And I'm going to go with the 4-hour method, but you can leave it all night. And then when you're ready, after a minimum of 4 hours, you're going to grab your Dutch oven, place it on a center rack in your oven, and then you're going to turn your oven on, and you're going to set your temperature to 450 degrees. And at the same time, you're going to set a 45-minute timer. Our Dutch oven is covered but empty at this point. And then you're going to spread out a sheet of parchment paper onto your counter. You're going to bring over your beautiful dough. You're going to uncover it, but hold on to that plastic wrap, because we will be using it again, so do not throw it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab a spoon, and we're going to grab a little bit of our flour, and we're going to sprinkle that parchment paper with a little bit of flour. I find this method super easy. That way our dough doesn't stick, we're not dirtying our counter, and we can use this large sheet to transfer our dough right into our hot Dutch oven. Now just bring over the bowl with your dough, and using your fingers, which are lightly floured, you're just going to release the dough from the bowl right onto that parchment paper. And I'm going to add just a touch more flour to my hands. It just makes it easier to work with. That way the dough is not sticking to your hands as you work. And what I'm doing is I'm forming an oblong shape with the dough, like an oval. But then I'm going to do what's known as a letter or an envelope fold. Just picture wanting to mail a letter and folding it in 3. So we're going to do that with our dough to form a round dough. So what we do is we grab one side, fold it over the center, and we grab the other side, fold it over that. And then what we're going to do is, while releasing the dough, if it sticks a little, just add a little flour to either the parchment or to your hands, or just use your hands to release it the way I'm doing. And then you have put the seam side down. So now all that's left is to tuck in the edges of the dough to form our beautiful round shape, our bowl, our traditional round shape. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous once it's baked. And as I said, you can flour your fingers a little bit more if you need to, but just with lightly floured hands, I've been able to tuck this dough under itself. And now all I'm doing is just flouring it a touch, very lightly, and we're going to cover our dough ball with that plastic wrap that we saved from when we had covered our bowl. And we're just going to slightly tuck it just ever so gently onto that dough ball. We're going to allow it to rest here on our counter just until a few minutes before our Dutch oven is ready to come out of the oven. But don't put away your flour. We're going to use that one more time when it's time to score our dough. So now there's about 5 minutes left on the timer for that Dutch oven that's getting piping hot. And I've gone ahead and uncovered my dough ball. And now I'm going to grab some flour, a nice amount of flour this time. And I'm going to dust my dough ball with this flour. And this is going to create a beautiful artisan bread. It's going to look like it came out of a gorgeous fancy bakery. Really, it's just absolutely stunning, and it's going to smell and taste delicious. But of course, it's important that it look gorgeous. So now my dough ball is ready to be scored, because now that I've floured the top and it's nice and round, it's going to be easier for me to take my lame or a sharp knife and score my dough so that when it bakes, it opens beautifully and it creates that gorgeous crusty lip that we're looking for on a beautiful artisan bread. So it's nice and floured. So now I'm going to grab my lame. It's just a razor with a holder, really. So you can use this or you can use a sharp knife. And I'm going to cut a nice big plus right at the center of my dough. One that goes from top to bottom, another line that goes from side to side, and then this is just going to open beautifully as my bread bakes. So now the timer has gone off, and I carefully with my oven mitts removed my very hot Dutch oven. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the parchment paper, being careful not to touch the sides of that Dutch oven because it's super, super hot. And I'm going to place my beautiful dough in my Dutch oven. I'm going to replace my lid, and very carefully, I'm going to put my Dutch oven back into my hot oven on a center rack. And I'm going to set a 30-minute timer to begin the baking process. But after 30 minutes, I'm going to very carefully remove that hot lid, put it back in without a lid, and set another 7 minutes to allow it to finish baking. And after those 7 minutes, I'm going to bring out my hot Dutch oven. And look at how gorgeous my No-Knead Rosemary, olive oil, and sea salt artisan bread looks. It has that perfect lip. It's crusty. It's beautiful. So very, very carefully, using the parchment paper, I remove it from the hot Dutch oven, and then I pull out that parchment paper and I allow my gorgeous bread to cool on a cooling rack. It is so spectacular, and it smells so crazy good in my kitchen. It's unreal. It's just absolutely beautiful. And tell me that doesn't look like it just came out of a fancy bakery or a bread you'd be served at a really nice Italian restaurant, all crusty and delicious. Just take a listen. It's got an amazing crust. So now I'm going to prepare a little bit of extra virgin olive oil while my bread is cooling. We need to give it at least 40 minutes. Don't cut into it when it's hot because you don't want to smush all those beautiful air pockets. And I've added a little bit of balsamic vinegar, a little bit of fresh ground pepper, and a little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. This is the way that my sons really love to indulge in this bread. And now it's time to cut into this beauty. Hello, gorgeous. Look at the inside of this bread. That crispy outside, that airy crumb on the inside, and that beautiful fragrant rosemary running throughout, this bread is going to be your new favorite bread. It's no wonder that this is a favorite around here. It smells amazing. It tastes amazing. When you bake it, the entire house smells amazing. It's just so crazy good with that little dip on the side or however you choose to serve it. So lucky me, I'm going to get to taste it. Wow, that crust on the outside, that perfect crumb. Oh, I cannot wait to take a bite. It's got the perfect texture. It's just so beautiful. It really looks like it came from a fancy bakery. Let's take a little bite with a little bit of this mix that I made. So excited. Amazing. Automatically I'm transported to an amazing Italian restaurant or a beautiful quaint little bread shop. That crumb, it's perfect, and it's just so fragrant and delicious. It's just an incredible combination of that crusty outside, and the delicious crumb. It's so good. I can't get enough. So tasty. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm going in for another bite. So crazy good. I could just sit here and eat all of it. I have to be careful because I'm tempted. It's so good. I may not want to share. It's really spectacular. It's just absolutely fragrant. Just the perfect texture, that flavor over the top, and so easy to make. You're going to love this. So how amazing does this no-knead rosemary, olive oil, and sea salt bread look? I am telling you, this bread is game-changing. It comes together so easily, but it is a family favorite for a reason, because that rosemary that we add to this dough just sits and does its magic and really just infuses our bread with flavor. And it's so crazy good. You could just eat it straight up. It doesn't need a thing, especially when it's warm, or even the next day. You can slice it, toast it. It's spectacular by itself with some butter, with a little dip the way I prepared. Whatever way you choose to serve it, you are going to love this bread. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're going to have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like it, to write a sweet comment, to share it with your friends. Thank you so much for doing that. I love when you watch my videos and you write me a sweet comment. I make sure to read every single one, so thank you so much. And I always try to respond to everyone, so thank you so much for reaching out. And of course, if you're not already subscribed here on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to Sally That Girl in the Kitchen and to touch that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on all the amazing recipes that I'm constantly putting out. And I have so many already up on my channel. Please be sure to explore. There are hundreds there for your delight. I hope you love them. And of course, if you're not following me on social media, don't forget Sally That Girl in the Kitchen is on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. And I have a Sally That Girl in the Kitchen Amazon store. You can find that link on the banner of my YouTube channel when you're watching on a computer or on an iPad, or you can also find that link at the top of my Facebook and Instagram pages. That way you can get to it easily, and I feature a lot of the products that I use in my videos in that store. And I also have a few notebooks out there on Amazon, so if you search for Sally That Girl in the Kitchen notebook or journal, you're gonna also find a bunch of cute things that I've put out for you. So anyway, enough about me. I want to take a moment to thank you so much for watching. I love that you're here with me. I love that you watch. I love that you cook my recipes. I love when you reach out. So thank you so much for all of it. And I'll see you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.